Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Accomplishment Coaching is proud to present the following fine programming. Accomplishment Coaching, where coaches lead and leaders coach. AccomplishmentCoaching.com.
Welcome back to the Wealth Building Hour.
Well, welcome back to our third segment here on the Wealth Building Hour. This is Kevin Brown, your host, managing partner at RBTK, a CPA and business advisory firm. And you can reach us at our website, which is www.rbtk-cpa.com. Well, we've been talking about really financial security, financial investment, things that investors out there should understand when they're reaching out or investigating, getting financial advice. And we've got a great guest with us here today, Paul Hynes, founder and CEO of Hearthstone Private Wealth Management. And you can learn more about what his team is doing there to help their clients really navigate that financial life and the transparency around that. And their website is www.hearthstoneinc.com, Hearth, stoneinc.com. Well, and I'd recommend to our listeners, if you happen to just be jumping in here on the third segment, to especially go back to the second segment. We were talking about what should an investor be looking at and at least understanding about financial advice and importantly, financial advisors. And we finished up the second segment talking about a couple of the key designations that would be able to be focused or should be focused on. So, Paul, what are some of the questions or things? So now maybe they've seen the CFP and the Chartered Financial Analyst titles, and those are two good ones. But what kind of things should they think about asking, or should want to know or learn about the potential advisor they may be working with, and the importance of interviewing them?
Yeah, and I want to take one half a step back because it's important that clients understand that even the financial advisors affiliated with a brokerage firm that we talked about that are subject to the suitability standard of care, they often have products on the shelf in which they behave as a fiduciary. They're actually behaving as an investment advisor, and it's contractual in their paperwork that they are a fiduciary. But in those cases, it's a product that they can pull off the shelf. They don't always have to use it. They don't always have to have that fiduciary hat on. So what I would ask when you're interviewing is, are you going to behave as a fiduciary when you're dealing with me in all cases at all times? And typically, you'll get a head nod, you'll get a yes from almost any advisor out there. And I do want to bring up a few numbers. There's over 635,000 registered representatives with the brokerage firms, and only 12,000 financial advisors or advisory firms like ours that are just registered with the SEC, subject to the fiduciary standard care at all times. So in all likelihood, you're dealing with a broker. And they may have a fiduciary product on the shelf. So you ask them that question, will you behave as a fiduciary in all cases and all times with me? If they say yes, your next question is, are you willing to put that in writing?
Sorry, I've chuckled a few times. Keep going.
Because it's unusual, but that's really what you want to know. Right?
Because if they're not willing to put it in writing, then they're probably not willing to do it.
Exactly.
At least,
Exactly. And most of the times they can't put it in writing because they're not allowed to by their firms, because in some cases they're not going to behave as a fiduciary and there's going to be a conflict. So in our case, for example, our contract says that we're always behaving as a fiduciary. Another interesting organization that people might want to be aware of, because to become a member of this organization, you have to have two things. One, you have to be a certified financial planner. And the second thing is you have to sign what's called a fiduciary pledge, which says you will always act as a fiduciary when you're dealing with your clients in all cases at all times. And that's the type of pledge that we would be willing to sign with any one of our clients, because we're already committed to that. We don't have products to sell. We're not out trying to push anything. We're not trying to sell things. We're just trying to help people. So if you ask those two questions to someone else, and whatever they say to the first question, if you ask them to put it in writing, if they're not willing to do that, then you might want to think twice about it.
What are some, let's say you get kind of through that point, and I think those are great questions. That's why I chuckled at to put it in writing, and proof is in the pudding type thing,
exactly.
All those old statements. And But say we get past that, what are some other things they should consider then in asking to again do a good due diligence, I guess, on their part to help them understand, is this person maybe who I should be working with?
Right. So let's say, for example, the person you're talking to does have the designation Certified Financial Planner or CFP after their name on the business card. That may, in some cases, not be enough. You have to check on two things. Number one, you should check with the CFP board, and that's cfp.net, to make sure that that person is entitled to use the credential. It's not totally unheard of that people have used the credential and not qualified for it. So if you want to be doubly sure, go to the CFP board and type in the person's name and make sure that they're qualified to use the credential. So that's number one. Number two, also while you're at the CFP board website, check and see if there have been any disciplinary actions against this person. So if there have been any disciplinary actions, they'll be listed on the website, or if the person has filed bankruptcy in the last, I think, 5 years, that would also be listed on the website. And I think those would be important things to know. They may be entitled to use the credential, but they've had disciplinary action, or they've filed bankruptcy in the last 5 years, and that might affect your decision-making. So that's good information available to you.
To just look up, right?
Right.
And to maybe even before the meeting and understand, at least to be able to then ask questions, what does that mean, right? If
Exactly.
Maybe disciplinary actions are minor, possible.
Sure,
and
if they have a good explanation for it. And there might be 3 letters after the name you don't understand. It might not be CFP or CFA. Ask them what it means, what it took to get that, what are the continuing education requirements, what do you need to do to maintain it, and then you have to evaluate whether it's really worthwhile or not. Interestingly, there's one state in the union that regulates the use of credentials for financial advisors. It happens to be the state of Nebraska. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So the state of Nebraska, the Banking and Finance Division, says in the state of Nebraska you can only use the credentials that we've authorized for use with the public. And they have a list of approved credentials. It's about 40 or 50 or so credentials. And I believe that I don't have the website on the top of my head. It's the State of Nebraska Department of Banking and Finance. And you can probably Google what's the list of approved credentials for financial advisors. But they also designate 5 credentials that they feel are so powerful that they exempt people from having to take the state exam if you have those credentials. And 2 of them are CFP and CFA, and the other 3 are related to those credentials. One is PFS, which you know of because if you're a CPA, you can have PFS. And that's very much like the CFP designation, similar in educational content, examination requirements, continuing ed requirements. Then the other 2, the person has to have a CFA to have the other 2. So they're all directly related. But that's a good authoritative resource if someone really wants to find out is this credential deemed to be worthwhile or not.
Those are great. I mean, any other, I kind of want to, in a second, jump off to another issue that I know is a passion of yours that is probably not focused on a lot out there or maybe known about. But prior to jumping in that, any other things that you think are an important question that an advisor should be thinking about, and a client should be thinking about when sitting down with an advisor, whether that's about how they do things or what?
Yeah, in the next minute or two, I'll touch on the third secret or the third thing that financial advisors don't typically want the general public to know, and that's why they're changing from one firm to the other. And we talked about this during the break, and I'll summarize it like this. Typically, in my observation, the firms out there are generally the same. There's really no discernible difference between the firms. So if a broker or advisor is changing from one firm to another, you have to question why. And that would be a question you might want to ask. If your broker calls you one day and says, I've moved across the street to such and such a firm, a normal question might be, why'd you do that? And I think the typical answer you're going to get is we thought it was in the best interest of our clients. Better services, better products, better pricing, which is not really the case in my observation. So there's another reason. The reason is they were enticed to do that from the firm that they moved to with what's called a recruiting bonus. And those recruiting bonuses can be quite large. And it's based on the productivity of that broker, but the average is typically about $1.5 million.
Wow, depending on the size of
Depends on the size of the business
that they have. And yeah, that's there's an incentive there.
There's an incentive there.
and
it's not necessarily benefiting the clients, really.
Right. It may be neutral or something.
It may be neutral, and you may be willing to change with it just to maintain the relationship, and that's valuable
for it. Interesting and very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, one other area.
And those bonuses don't have to be disclosed. In fact, they're kept secret. And there was a movement afoot to try to make sure that those were disclosed to the public, and that was defeated through
powerful
lobbies. Yes.
Well, and I'm sure that there can then ultimately be on that person who moved over there some pressure to perform and do certain things that benefit again the brokerage firm.
Most definitely
paid some money. They paid money to that person for it, and
clients need to know who's paying up for all that.
Yep, and how. And while I see that we're hitting down to the minute, and so maybe we'll jump into this in the second segment, but we can kind of lead into it a little bit for just a few seconds of an area that I know is really a passion of yours in my time spending with you is elder abuse. Maybe just share really quickly what that is, and then we'll jump into that in the fourth segment.
Elder financial abuse and scams and exploitation of elders is really an epidemic in our country, and it's costing the citizens of our country, especially the vulnerable citizens of our country, billions and billions of dollars. And we can get into that in more detail in the next segment.
It's a good teaser for the next segment. But maybe it's a good teaser in the sense to bring over, not a good teaser in that it's a topic that we certainly love to hear. And I'm sure a few of the listeners out there have maybe either heard about it or
it's
hopefully...
It's a distasteful topic and very uncomfortable for people to deal with, but that's why we have to talk about it.
And share it. Well, we will do that when we get into the fourth segment. And we will be back shortly here for the fourth segment on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
Securing Our eCity Foundation is a nonprofit organization focused on cybersecurity awareness and education. Formed in 2011, their mission is to enable every San Diegan to live, work, and play safely in the cyber world. For more information, visit securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444. Securingourecity.org, 619-630-2444. Securingourecity.org.
You were born to do one amazing thing, but most people spend a lifetime trying to identify what it is. If you're in a job you don't like or are unemployed, if you're in a state of transition or just can't shake that nagging feeling that you were meant and made to do something extraordinary, then the Reinvention Workshop is exactly what you need. Led by award-winning self-help author Steve Olsher, the Reinvention Workshop will forever change your life. The Reinvention Workshop takes you step by step through Steve's proven formula that has helped so many people get on the right path and clear about what they were born to do. Take the first step to realizing the life you deserve and desire by visiting thereinventionworkshop.com today. No more delays. No more denial. Reconnect with your true self. Learn to live with purpose and conviction and become who you were born to be. The world is waiting for you. What are you waiting for? Log on to thereinventionworkshop.com today. That's thereinventionworkshop.com.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goley, one thing that you have helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians, because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
In the military, things can change in an instant. Your personal life is just the same. Just like you protect our country, you want your family protected. That's why thousands of military members trust Navy Mutual Life Insurance. Navy Mutual is nonprofit, providing current and former Navy, Marine, and Coast Guard families with life insurance, no sales fees, and no military service restrictions. Protecting members on active duty and beyond. Call 1-800-628-6011. 800-628-6011. NavyMutual.org. Insuring those who serve.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Accomplishment Coaching is proud to present the following fine programming. Accomplishment Coaching, where coaches lead and leaders coach. AccomplishmentCoaching.com.
Welcome back to the Wealth Building Hour.
Well, welcome back to our final segment here on the Wealth Building Hour. And this is Kevin Brown, your host, managing partner at RBTK. And joining us in the previous three segments and carrying us through into the final one is Paul Hynes, founder and CEO of Hearthstone Wealth Management. And you can reach Paul and learn more about what they're doing at their website, which is www.hearthstoneinc.com. And that's Hearth, Hearth, in case if I make it sound like heart, which is still important. And, well, Paul, we just really hit a topic that's not really a fun topic in the financial arena, but I think it's important, and I know it's a passion of yours, because there's certainly the baby boomer generation and a lot of wealth that's going to transfer or that's just out there because of that large population. And but there's some people out there who take advantage of that, and kind of known as elder abuse, probably some other names for it too. But maybe just share a little bit about what that is, what that looks like, and then maybe how people like ourselves that may have parents that have might be subject to that and or maybe been hit by that. What are things to look out for, to think about, and we'll carry on that, and then maybe we'll hit a little higher level, a funner topic.
And on a high note.
Yeah, and on a high note.
So it is an important topic for people to talk about. I know it's uncomfortable, it's distasteful, it's not a real happy topic, but what we've decided is that our client safety is more important than our own comfort. So we've addressed this issue head on, and I think there's more and more talk about it because it is really an epidemic in this country. And estimates vary quite a bit, but it's both estimates are large. There's one study that estimates $12 billion a year is lost, and another estimate that I think is probably a little bit more on the mark estimates $32 billion a year is lost. That's to elder financial abuse, scams, exploitation, all the ways that people lose their money. And when you think about it, you're an advisor to people like I am. We understand and we identify risks, right? Tax risk, market risk, interest rate risk. And those are the things we plan for and try to mitigate or avoid. Well, this is equally as risky for our clients. The risk of losing capital, losing money, or hard-earned money through a scam or exploitation or some abuse by someone. So that's why I think it's important for us to talk about and actually address head on.
Well, and elders, usually, there's some sense maybe of whatever it is that they maybe have trust of people, or somebody sounds like they like them or whatever. And I guess what are some of the things that are those type of scams and or things that at least, someone should be thinking about when they're either approached or whatever the ways are these people go about doing it?
Yeah, there are a lot of them, and it's
too many to talk about.
Well, I wish we had more time, but I do have a resource for people to look at, and I'll touch on that in just a minute. But a couple of things. First of all, it can be small. So, for example, someone might get a solicitation for a charity that looks somewhat familiar in the mail. It turns out that it's not a real charity, or most of the money goes to the fundraisers rather than to the charity. And they might send a check for $25. It's a loss. Charity hasn't benefited. Nobody's benefited from that except for the scam artists, but that's a small loss. But on the other hand, some people have actually lost their entire life savings, including their house, to scam artists, because once they're identified as a likely target, the scam artists aren't going to stop. And they won't stop until there's nothing left. That's how bad this can get. So a few things. If you're enticed to send money either by wire, by check,
through the
internet, using a gift card, send money in order to receive money or gifts or prize winnings or lottery winnings. Whenever you're asked to send money to get something, that should be a huge red flag, and that's always a scam. So keep your eyes open for those types of offers that come through in the mail, come through in the internet, through your email. Definitely keep your eyes on things like that. Another interesting thing is a lot of times the perpetrator is a family member, which is distasteful in of itself. But if you see a change in living circumstances, for example, let's say a nephew or a grandson moves in with grandma or grandpa, and that's a change of circumstances, you want to definitely keep your eyes on what's happening there. Perhaps ask the grandma or grandpa if it's okay, would they copy you on bank statements, or can you have authority to provide oversight? Because sometimes they lose the money in small amounts, but it's continuous. So
Right.
a couple $100 a week or a couple $100 every other week out of their ATM, it all adds up
Right.
over a long period of time. So you have to keep your eyes open for things like that.
Amazing. It is, distasteful to think when it's family anybody does it, but then family members is probably, I don't know if that's more distasteful. It's all distasteful.
It's all distasteful,
yeah,
right.
It's just a tragedy. Well, what are then maybe part of the things is what are things that people can do to help protect their assets then? I mean, this is, somebody targeting you, and hey, we're all subject to it. I just think elders are susceptible just because of various things, age. Sometimes,
Right.
we're not thinking as well as we used to, or whatever the case may be. But what are some ways that even along the way that people can protect their assets?
So the fastest growing segment of our population in the United States is 80 and over. And dementia definitely comes more into play when you're over 80 years old than it does if you're under 80. So there's definitely a case where mental capacity plays a role in this, and they might be more susceptible. But I think the most important thing is awareness. Be aware. So, for example, there was a scam, and it's still going, called the IRS scam, where a telephone call comes in saying, we're from the IRS, you owe back taxes, we're going to come and arrest you unless you pay right now using your credit card. That is definitely a scam, because the IRS does not make phone calls like that. They don't threaten people over the phone.
They don't go over the internet.
They don't go over the internet. So if you just knew that, then you're not as susceptible to that type of scam. So awareness, and that's the resource that I want to encourage people to use. There's a great set of resources through the San Diego County District Attorney's Office. And one of the district attorneys who is responsible for prosecuting elder abuse, his name is Paul Greenwood. He's a very good communicator. He's also a very good prosecutor. He said, unfortunately, business is booming for him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But he's put out a set of resources called 10 Tips to Protect Yourself. And it's 10 tips that highlight the 10 most common ways that people will be exploited or scammed or stolen from. And that list is available in two resources. You can go to the district attorney's website. It's definitely there. Or go to the website that we've developed called seniorsafeandsound.org. And it's spelled out, seniorsafeandsound.org. And what we did is we videotaped Paul's presentation, where he delivers his advice on these 10 tips, broke it down into 10 individual videos, each for just a couple of minutes. It's a great way to become familiar with what the threats are out there so you can become more aware, and I think awareness can lead to prevention.
So, and that again is Safe and Sound?
seniorsafeandsound.org.
And then the district attorney's office, and just look under elder
Right,
abuse.
or just Google 10 tips to protect yourself, and it'll likely take you to that resource.
Well, I warned you that this last segment
Right.
goes fast, and we're down to almost a minute. But now let's look at the investor side and say, what are just a few realistic expectations they should have that you think is kind of an outgoing last tip here for them, what they should be realistically thinking about?
Remember, greed is a powerful emotion, and so is fear. And if you're experiencing either of those two, you're not making really great decisions. So you have to be aware of yourself, and if you feel like you can't make decisions without emotions, get someone to help you make those decisions. The other thing is educate yourself about the markets. Things go up, things go down, and don't criticize your investments through the rearview mirror. A well-diversified portfolio is always going to have something doing well, something doing poorly, and everything else in the middle. And then lastly, just take the time and make sure that the person that you're dealing with as an investment advisor has your best interests at heart. And I think that itself will go a long way.
Well, I think those are three great tips to end on, and I especially like the idea if you're making a decision out of fear or greed, that's not the best framework and foundation to start from. And so, Paul, I want to thank you for joining us and giving us some great information around this issue of financial security.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And welcome. We'll be back in a month here to on the WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
Securing Our eCity Foundation is a nonprofit organization focused on cybersecurity awareness and education. Formed in 2011, their mission is to enable every San Diegan to live, work, and play safely in the cyber world. For more information, visit securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org, 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org.
Kinja Dixon was crowned the #1 sales executive through hard work, deep thinking, and the revelation of universal talk laws. He now wants to share these lessons with you. Universal talk laws are what you need to know and use in business and at home to have successful and effective conversations. Kinja Dixon shares his wisdom, action plans, and wealth. Each book comes with a chance to win $10,000. Find Universal Talk Laws at KinjaDixon.com.
Attention business owners. Does it feel like your business owns you? See if you qualify for a free 90-minute business coaching session to help you build a business, not a job. During this free 90-minute strategic consultation, one of our senior coaches will help you map out the best way to grow your company and get your life back. To learn more, go to MauiMasterminds.com/scale now. That's MauiMasterminds.com/scale now.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.